Banglaku. Good morning, everyone. We are back again and we'll be continuing with the next part of the chapter of MSME. Yesterday, we have discussed what is MSME, what are the criteria or how do we categorize them as micro, small and medium enterprise. We have also seen how did this come into picture, MSME, Indian Act 2006, and how it has changed, how it has been changed recently, the categorization on what basis. We have also seen how MSME helps a developing nation to progress and what are the advantages or what are the roles played by MSME in India, right? So we have covered up in previous class up to this point. We have also introduced something called as LPG in the previous class, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. As background, we have already discussed what happened in between 1957 to 1990 and what made economic reforms, what made changes in economic reforms, and new economic policies was introduced in since 1991, right? So just to give an overview of the same, let me say that after independence, since 1957 to 1990, we adopted socio-economic structure which did not give much progress, or we didn't progress through that medium. Yes, we had a 5-year plan now and then every 5 years, but that couldn't boost up our economy. India had reached a stage wherein it was difficult for us to even pay the interest of the loan that was taken from World Bank. Also, the value of rupee had gone down very drastically. The only way out was to take a loan against the gold that India had, to pledge those gold and take a loan against them. But then due to international pressure from World Bank and IMF, we had to reform our economic policies. In 1991, P.V. Narasimha Rao, Manmohan Singh and all those people related in the financial ministry then reformed Indian economic policies and called them as new economic policy, right? This policy came into picture which focused on different things. The first one was reforms with respect to industry, reforms with respect to taxation, reforms with respect to import and export, reforms with respect to foreign investment, right? And many others. All these reforms, when they came into picture, the three things emerged, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. Now what is liberalization? One should know that way back in 1990s or even before 1990s, much of the business or economic structure was owned by the government, PSUs and the government. Government had major stake or major holding in all these companies. Yes, there were private companies, but their contribution was very little. In the sense, they had a lot of restrictions on private companies to do business. And only the government sector did the business. And everyone knows how government sector works. To call for a tender, to allot the tender, then start the work, everything, it's a slow process. Apart from that, one more thing that happened is there was no competition. Government was the only one who was doing the job. So however they did, that was the quality approved. Whether it was a low quality, medium quality or high quality work, no one cared. It was government done, it was accepted. Rather than saying approved, it was accepted. There was no competition. This led to failure of many of the schemes, right? This also led to poor quality of work done. This also led to dissatisfaction in the people and poverty. Also what happens is, in government sector, the promotions, the hierarchy, the increments, all was steady. No one worried or no one had a fear that if he doesn't perform this time, his salary will not be given or he'll have to face consequences, right? Even due to the quota system, or promotion system, the way they adopted, no one was that scared, or no one was that, how do I say it, no one was even no one felt responsible that he or she should do the job with utmost quality and standards and all those things. And that's happening even now. So this led to more poverty, incomplete job done, poor quality of work, and all those things. So the liberalization came into picture. Now what is liberalization? Liberalization itself, the word itself tells you the meaning. What is liberal? Liberal means letting free. So what the government did in their reforms is, they let free to the people who are doing business. In the sense, since in way back, people who are doing business required permission for even small things. Like even transportation, maybe from one city to another city. I'm just taking a crude example, but even transportation, they needed permissions, government interferences there were too much of government interference. So then what happened? Government, the new policy made it liberal. You need not have license to do business. You need not have license to sell your goods. You need not have license to get the raw materials from different resources. Nothing of those sort within India, right? They still kept the license, that is permission to get the work done for some of the important things like import and export and all those things, right? So apart from major concern or major work, businesses, rules that were there for businesses were made liberal. Because of this, what happens? Already people who are owing business got access to more resources, got access to more customers, right? Got access to more people. They could perform better as there are no restrictions on the method that they are going to do for, method that they are going to use for manufacturing on any of those things. They had more freedom to do it. This improved the conditions more, slightly more, right? We had better conditions. Then the next thing came is privatization. We have already discussed liberalization and just now privatization. The word itself again tells you privatization. What is privatization? This simply means that people who do not belong to government sector, right, could do the business, could do the work. Because of this, what happened? People who are interested in setting up their own industries, their own manufacturing units or agencies or service center or hotels or theaters or many of those businesses emerged because rules were liberal and privatization was allowed. In the sense, an individual or a group of individuals could start or have their own businesses. So people who were interested and had money came together and formed a group or individual and started setting up their own firms and producing goods or giving services. This led to what? Competition. In the sense, if you want to sustain in the market, you should have better quality product. With this in mind, many people started coming up and providing better quality products or services. As an example, you take any mobile, you always like to go for the best mobile, which is a better product, which has more RAM, right, which has more internal storage, whose processor is good, camera, pixels, everything you check it out. But if there was only one company producing this, and that to government, and had some standard saying that every 3 years it is going to review the mobile and go for launching of a new one, then imagine what would be the status. But now it's not the case. Every now and then, every 3 months or 6 months or 8 months, a new mobile is launched with new features, saying that, or with better quality or standards, right? There's competition, so people would like to buy new mobiles whenever they wish to, right? This is a simple example. So privatization helped in, let me put it in a much more simpler word, in spreading economy in wide area. More people, because of this privatization, one more advantage was More people started getting jobs, more people were employed because private industries or private manufacturing units or service centers require people to work. So more people got job, unemployment rate reduced, more people got employed. They had developed they developed the skills and they got jobs, right? One more problem was not 100% solved, but the problem was drastically reduced. More people getting jobs, more people earn their livelihood, right? So privatization did help. And you all know that nowadays amount of people, amount of engineers passing out of any college, they are getting jobs more into private sector rather than the government sector. And because of that privatization that happened in 1991, nowadays you are seeking a job. Otherwise, the condition would have been worse. Rather saying worse, worst, right? So that's privatization, which helped in progress of economy in India. Then next comes is globalization. Now, what is globalization? Again, the word tells you same, global. That means you're spreading your business or you're establishing yourself not only in the region that you're living in or in the country that you're living in, but outside the country, outside India also, right? If your products are really good, high quality, standard and efficient, then your product is in demand. You surely wish to sell these products outside India also. You are recognized outside. Some of the products which are much better manufactured or are having better quality outside India are imported into India, and you are using those products rather than using the ones that are not of that good quality ones. How is this possible? Globalization. That means you were allowed to trade within the country and outside the country also, thereby exchanging goods, thereby exchanging economical exchanges, or let me put it in another word, that is exchange of money, dollar, rupees, dollar, pound, rupee, pound, and all those things. Exchange of foreign exchanges got active, because of which economy again had a boost, right? Globalization, let me repeat again, globalization is nothing but establishing yourself outside the country or getting goods from outside country India, which is having into our country, which is having better standard of quality. Example, laptops, mobiles. There are very few mobiles which are made in India of good quality or standard quality. We always buy mobile made up of Samsung or Sony or OnePlus or Redmi or all those things. But none of those are manufactured in India. Their core manufacturing is somewhere else. And we do buy those because of their quality, standard, efficiency, all those things, right? So globalization helped this. Now, many products from India are also sent outside. Example for globalization, the recent one that you can hear is medicine. Because of this COVID-19 situation that has arisen in the world, America and many other countries wanted medicine, and India did supply. Not just one or two, but millions or lakhs and crores of medicine supplies were given out of India. How has this come into picture? Because of globalization access. Now, what happened due to globalization is, one thing where India was lacking all through was foreign investment into India. Because of this globalization, liberal rules and privatization, many of the firms outside India were interested to invest their money into India because of the cheap labor, right? And because of manpower, space availability, and many other resources. India has huge resource, not only the man, but material resource also. So because of these availability, many companies outside India were also interested in investing in India. Only thing that held them back then was the rules, which was relaxed after 1991. So foreign investment began in India. So government investment, or if you talk in terms of stock market or share, government reduced their equity holding on many of those sectors, thereby allowing foreign investment into those sectors and increasing their stake. And when the stake increases, responsibility also increases, right? So this also boosted. Now also foreign investment in India. You always hear this Make in India theme by Prime Minister Modi, right? What does that mean? He is indirectly or directly calling in foreign investment into India, saying that we are capable and we have resources. What will this do? Boost the economy, because foreign money is walking in India, right? So always the one that was lagged behind then was boosted by opening up of foreign investment into India. So this is what? Liberalization, privatization and globalization. These three things led boost in Indian economy. But the time period from 1991 to 2000 saw many things, right? Saw many things over there. One can say economic reforms were done, 1993 bomb blast, nuclear testing, riots. We also saw satellite cables for the first time in late early 90s, I suppose, satellite cables. We saw progress and some hindrances, or we also saw some setbacks like riots or bomb blast and all those things. But we also did see progress. We had nuclear test, right? We had progress and boost in economy. We were able to pay our interest and all those things. Many things happened in that area. But since then, reformation in economic policies happened time to time or timely basis. They were reviewed and promoted, or necessary changes were there so as to motivate or boost the business, privatization or Indian economy. Right? Now, we have already seen in this discussion what happened to the Indian economy then, what is liberalization, privatization, and what is globalization. Now, let's see some advantage of what happened because of these. In simple words, I won't be able to mention all, but I can give you some hints, right? In simple words, the first thing that happened is because of liberalization, things were made free. People had greater access to or opportunities to set up their own business and contribute to economy or improve their own standard of living, right? Because of liberalization, not only liberalization, because of liberalization, privatization and globalization, which is also called as LPG. Whenever we say LPG in economics, don't talk about the gas cylinder. It is liberalization, privatization and globalization, right? Whenever since this LPG, first thing is many people got opportunity. Employment increased, reduced in unemployment rates. Many people got employed. Standard of living increased, buying power increased, money came into India, right? Foreign investment came into India. India had a greater capability of exporting things, which also was boosted. Since before 1991, exports were little, imports were more, huge. Rather than saying more, it was huge, because of which we spent a lot of money in buying things from people from outside other countries, but we never exported things, right? So, but because of these three LPG, investment started coming into India. We had export increase in export numbers a lot, right? Then also development, rather than saying only economic development, infrastructure development within the country also improved, because foreign investment, privatization, new businesses all coming into picture. The transportation was to be improved, so transportation got improved slowly, step by step. That also was improved, right? Infrastructure was improved. Many things happened. So these are just few advantages of liberalization, globalization and privatization, right? If globalization wouldn't be there, people going out of India to study or for business or jobs also would have gone down. So this is how it helps. So this is how Indian economy was boosted by introducing new economic policy after 1991. Now, the next part in this chapter is the IPR. IPR, which we are talking here, is not intellectual property rights. It's industrial policy resolutions, right? These industrial policy resolutions was introduced since 1991, and timely they were updated and also necessary changes were made. What is this Indian policy resolution? It is nothing but the support received from the government to private sectors or even the government sectors or in basically to people of India. When we talk about these IPRs, policy resolutions, industrial policy resolutions, these focus on many things including MSME, all those things. So remember Indian Act 2006 which talks about categorization of MSMEs, that is micro, small and medium enterprises, that is also a part of this policy resolutions, right? So what these policies did is basically extended the government support to people to progress, not only personally but also nation-wise, right? There are many policies over here. Some of them, as an example, we can discuss, and that's it. That's the part for today, right? Sir, just a second, please, sir. IPR listings, sir. Adra listings avunu nodra. IPR 1997, 2000, 2001 something. Read me few of them. IPR 1977, tell me, what is that? Right. Now what happened is in 1997 IPR was also introduced which focused on enhancing usage of cottage, right? Industries which was widely spread in rural. This also boosted the economy but it didn't have much effect. Why? Because exports were less. Privatization was less. It was still under government control. So directly jump to one which talks about after 1991. Just read that year and one statement. Okay. Now, this IPR 2000, what did it do? It focused on development of infrastructure, wherein 50% focus was on rural areas and 50% focus was on micro industries. Basically SSI, small scale industries, right? So what did this rule say is, it started or it aided to develop infrastructure all around country, right? Similar to this, there are many other policies. There are policies which also talked about empowering women in India, which says that they should be given training, they should be given job opportunities, they should also be given to set up their own micro or small scale industries or many of those things. Empowering women, including their education, Right to Education Act, many of those things are there. There are industrial policies which also talks about stopping the child labor. Remember, this child labor problem is there in India since many years. It's still there, but when you compare, I think it's drastically reduced. It's not that up to that level, right? But there are rules or policies which talks about that child labor is prohibited, right? There are industrial policies which also talks about training and skill development programs, which has happened. Sir, after 2000, can you read me another two? Any one statement out of those? Okay, 2003-4. Okay. Okay, fine. If you talk about IPR 2001, right? If you talk about 2001 and 2003, Though there were SSI, small scale industries, but what about their market? They remember in those days internet was not as this good, right? So they required assistance. So what happened? Uh, Market research or assistance was provided to small scale industries so that they could tap the market resource in 2001 according to that policy. Then in 2002-3 what happened? They also instructed the banks to give credits or to give loans at a much lower interest rate. It also gave a scheme like credit card for Lagu Udyam. That means for micro enterprises, they give Lagu Udyog credit cards, which help them to utilize money whenever it was necessary. That happened in 2003. Later, sir, can you go to 2006 or 7? Sir, go to the 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Hmm. So again, 2006, as I told you already, Indian Act 2006, this policy helped us to classify what is micro, small, medium enterprises and certainly gave them facilities through which they could manage or enhance their business. Government facilities were given, right? So there are many of these policies since 1991. So you can go through these and try and understand what do these policies actually tell. It's not in detail, it's just a line or two which says what this policy talks about. As in general discussion, I have already told you what are these policies about. These policies always talks about enhancing business with the government aid, right? Like there was a special attention given to cottage industries in early 1977. Then in 2000 or 2001, it was given on women empowerment. It was given in stopping child labor. It was given for banks were instructed to give credits. They had market research assistance where they could explore the market so that the business could enhance. Right, many of these policies came into picture. So this is how the government supports are there. The next part is institutional support, wherein government has set up few institutions, or there are private institutions also, which help people to have their own startups, or which guide people to set up their own startups. This part we'll cover in tomorrow's class, right? So what is the time now? 9:45, right. So what we'll do is I'll just review until now whatever we have covered and then we'll stop for today. We'll continue in tomorrow's class. So in this unit, since the beginning of this unit, MSME, we have seen business environment, right? What is business environment? What are the broad classification of business environment? Why is it important? How does it help a business? What are the factors affecting business? Because what are the factors affecting the business because of those business environments? We have seen in the first part. In the second part, we have seen what is MSME, right? What do you mean by MSM? That is micro, small and medium enterprises. How is it categorized? According to Indian Act 2006 and lately by 2019, what change has been made in categorization of that? What is the advantage of MSME? How did it boost the economy and how is it the backbone of Indian economy or Indian industry, manufacturing or service sector both, right? How is it contributing to progress or development of nation? We have seen what are the advantages or what are the roles of MSME and how is it is beneficial. We have seen this much part. Then the next part was this LPG. This is social economic reforms that took place in 1991. That is liberalization, privatization and globalization. We have also seen what is liberalization, what is privatization, what is globalization. Few advantages of that. We have discussed this part until then. And the last part that we checked out today is what is government support through, what are the government support to MSMEs, that is Indian policy resolution. Every 5 years or every now and year some resolutions are put in where which will help people to enhance their business or start up their own setups. A very one simple example of this Indian policy resolution that I can give is the 50,000 loan is given on I don't remember, just a second, sir. They give 50,000 loan on some to people without any credit. What is that scheme? Recent scheme was introduced. Rozgar Yojana, right? PM Modi has introduced Rozgar Yojana in where loan up to 50,000 Mudra loan, not Rozgar, correct, Mudra loan. The Mudra loan is given to people wherein 50,000 rupees loan is given without any major documents, I suppose. Major documents and with only Aadhaar card and with minimum interest. You can also see the scheme which says that women will be given loan up to 2 or 3 lakhs or even up to 5 lakhs. Recent one, I check it out, without the being questioned anything in the banks and at lower interest rates to women, to empower women. So what are these? These are all policy resolutions that are coming to empower people to enhance their business or develop or increase their livelihood or standard of living and thereby contributing to development of nation. Right? So these are the latest schemes, just one or two that I have talked to you about. If you check recent policies that were announced or recent reforms that was announced by Nirmala Sitharaman after PM's speech, about 20 lakh crore being infused into country to progress to make India self-sustainable. You can also check those policies wherein many of those policies talk about lending money to people to have their own startups or enhance their business so as to become self-sustainable at a lower interest rate. What are these? These are all government support extended to people or businesses to enhance themselves so as to contribute to progress or development of the nation. Right? So with these words, we'll stop here for today's class. In tomorrow's class, we'll be continuing with institutional support and many other things, right? So we are stopping here for the day. Thank you. Mic off, Mark.